The training ground erupted again, as Yerim tested her power without restraint. Frost spread across the floor in widening circles, freezing and cracking reinforced tiles meant to withstand an S-rank's strength. She leapt and spun through the icy field, driving her weapon down as waves of frozen energy burst outward. Observers watched in stunned silence as spears of ice erupted from the ground like jagged pillars. Even the reinforced walls trembled under the pressure of her awakening. Yet Yerim looked almost delighted, moving freely through the frozen landscape she created. Each step sent ripples of frost racing across the shattered floor. Behind her, the protagonist and the others could only stare at the devastation. What was supposed to be a controlled test had become a full display of overwhelming S-rank power. When the final surge exploded outward in a brilliant cascade of ice, the room fell quiet again, now completely transformed into a frozen battlefield shaped entirely by her strength. Yerim continued testing her power with growing confidence, spinning through the frozen training ground as waves of frost burst outward beneath her feet. Each movement sent shards of ice skittering across the cracked floor, and the air shimmered with cold energy. For a moment she stumbled after landing, surprised by the intensity of her own strength, but quickly regained her balance. Laughing breathlessly, she admitted the power still felt unfamiliar, though exciting. The observers nearby watched carefully, noting how quickly she was adapting. They reminded her not to overdo it yet, explaining that even an S-rank needed time to fully control newly awakened abilities. Yerim listened but remained visibly eager, already imagining how much stronger she could become. The conversation turned to training schedules and proper equipment, with plans forming for structured practice. Standing proudly in the icy field she had created, Yerim looked energized rather than exhausted, as if the frozen landscape around her was only the beginning of what she would soon be capable of. After the intense training display, the atmosphere shifted to discussion. Yerim excitedly talked about how incredible her new strength felt, while the others reminded her that power alone was not enough and that proper control would be essential. They discussed the responsibilities that came with being an S-rank hunter and how quickly the world would begin paying attention to her. Soon afterward, they visited the Hunter Association building to begin the formal process of registering her rank. Yerim appeared both proud and slightly nervous as officials confirmed the results of her awakening. Observers whispered about the rare appearance of a new S-rank, drawing attention throughout the hall. Plans for her future training and public introduction began forming almost immediately. The protagonist remained beside her, carefully guiding the process while making sure she was not overwhelmed by the sudden spotlight. As they left the association, he quietly reflected that things were already moving faster than expected, and the consequences of her awakening were only beginning to unfold. Reflecting on everything that had happened, he considered the strange second chance he had been given. Once before, he had turned back time to save his younger brother. Now he wondered if that same opportunity could be used to change the futures of Yerim and Yuhyun as well. Standing before a grave that symbolized a fate he wished to prevent, he felt renewed determination. If his skill truly existed to nurture others, then it should help hidden talents bloom rather than fade unnoticed. With that resolve, he reached out his hand and called to someone nearby. The startled young man turned, confused by the sudden approach. At that moment, the system activated again, quietly evaluating the person before him. The result appeared with surprising clarity, an awakened potential far greater than expected. The analysis concluded that the individual possessed an optimal starting rank at the powerful SS level.